Alrighty, so it's been quite a while since I've done a commentary on where my Rapier builds are at, and the reason for that is because I've been going pretty hard trying to grind and get to that end game. We've been leveling up all of our refining skills. I finally got my armor rank to 200, but we still have quite a few things to do, but we are getting very close to that end game point on this build, and I am very excited because I've been testing this the last couple of days with some of the improved gear that I've gotten myself over these last couple of weeks, and it almost feels like a new build compared to where it was like literally a month ago. So I'm very excited about the end point for this build because it's already been an insane amount of fun, and I can't wait to see what it's like once I get all of that 600 best in slot gear for it. But before we jump into the build update, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a PvP commentary because I haven't done one in a while for my fire staff variant of this build, and I'm missing my baby. So we're going to be taking a look at a couple of fights that were quite fun. If you are new to the channel, do not forget to subscribe because not only do I have a ton of videos going over the builds themselves, but how to actually use them in fights and tips to how to get better with not only the Rapier but the Ice Gauntlet and the Fire Staff as well. We'll be posting a ton more. So with all that out of the way, let's jump into that PvP commentary. Now, as you saw in the previous clip there, we have probably the highest amount of mobility that you can get on a single build. Maybe the next closest being Rapier and Bow, but the types of mobility that they have kind of differs. And I really like what Fire Staff adds to Rapier for fighting outnumbered groups. As you see, we have another little brawl here outside of the middle point here in Outpost Rush. And we can literally just kind of walk around amongst the enemy team by chaining the dodge rolls and the evades from our Rapier. I'm trying to see if I can just corral a couple of these guys and get the numbers down a little bit. We do end up getting caught by the Void Scream there and the stun, but we do end up blocking a bunch of the damage there, and we're able to flesh out. And I continue again to just make a little bit of distance. We get caught by the grab wall there, so I just go ahead and flame dash back through the opponents and just keep trying to keep my health topped up here while we create some distance. But we managed to see a 2v1 here after some of the other players got bored of the fight. We land a flesh into the spear player there. He's already down to half health. We land the parry. He's essentially dead at this point, but we just managed to land the fireball under the hammer player as he's throwing down the stun. And then we're left to a 1v1 here after evading that giant group. And then we are going to see just how his playstyle is. You see I kind of walk up to him and I'm playing a little bit slower and defensive, and we're just looking for that parry. We land it, get a pretty big chunky heavy attack into him, and he is in full heavy armor and tank build, so we're gonna have to chip him down. But even with all of that damage there, we're able to pretty quickly burn his health down. We read the hammer stun there, and we get a beautiful finish there on the 2v1 after splitting them up from the group. I must say though, my preferred way to PvP is definitely open world, and we got us a juicy little group here in Mangled Heights. It's going to be quite a difficult fight because they have the typical kind of dungeon setup where they have a healer, DPS, and a tank. So we're not going to be able to burst down the tank fast enough, and the healer is going to pretty much be keeping up the DPS. So my plan during this fight is going to be to try to focus down the healer. I'm kind of just poking them to see if these guys are even willing to fight, but it seems like they are. So we're going to go ahead and immediately just flame dash over to that healer and go aggro and see not only what kind of defenses he's working with, but see if we can take him out as quickly as possible. So you're going to see I'm trying to keep my distance from the melees while I'm trying to burst down the healer here. Thankfully, they're in both heavy armor. I believe one of them is in medium, so I am able to keep my distance a little bit. But it's not forever. You can see inevitably they do eventually catch up to me and chunk me a little bit. But you're going to see I put the repulse there into the tank just to buy myself a little bit of time. And I'm constantly just trying to land ranged fire staff attacks and melees. We again burn out over to the healer. We land a little bit more burst onto him this time. The healer, the tank, excuse me, gets into our face. So we land the parry to see if we can just get a stun off and get a little bit of damage onto the healer. But it's proving to be difficult because, like I said, the melees aren't just going to let me kill him. And the healer is not going to just let himself get bursted. So I do manage to get him quite low there, landing quite a few fire staff attacks. And I think that I do get the kill here as he gets caught in the wall there by the stag. I burn out over to see if I can get the finish, but he manages to chug a potion, and we are still left to this fight here. So again, I'm not really I'm trying to stay calm here, and I'm just trying to figure out if I should stick on the healer or switch to a DPS here. I haven't really attacked any of the DPS, so I haven't gotten an idea of how defensive their builds are, but we're gonna see if we can kind of go ahead and put a little bit of damage into them here in a second. But still just trying to pepper the healer. I land a burnout into the spear player there, into a heavy attack, and you see I do chunk him quite a bit. We get him below half there with the fire staff and the fireball, so I go ahead and see if we can switch over and get a quick burst off on this player here, but we get a kick to the face. After the backwards evade, though, we get a beautiful roll into the incinerate. I don't think he was expecting it, and we catch him with just the very edge of that. Finish off one of the DPS, and now we're left to just 2 players here. So I switch my attention right back to the healer, see if I can get a finish off, because the other DPS does seem to be a full tank. So I again am going to see if I can pepper him with some fire staff attacks. We burn out over to him again. I pop a oak flesh bomb here just to see if I can just tunnel vision here on the healer and ignore the DPS and burst him down. And I'm trying to finish him off before the other DPS gets back to the fight here. We do get him quite low again, but those dodges there are just barely keeping him alive. I'm landing a little bit of damage. We are almost able to finish him, but as soon as his life staff buffs go down, he chugs a potion, and then we're back to square one essentially. And even right there, we almost get the finish off again, but I'm not able to finish it. And the third player does end up coming back from the settlement there. He has equipped a shield to see if he can get a stun off, but I do capitalize on the opportunity there. The healer wasn't topping himself back up because I think he was safe with his other teammate showing back up there, but we finish off the healer, and it's just left to a DPS race here. We land the parry on both players, put an insane amount of damage into both of them. The tank is pretty much dead. We pop the hatchet ultimate, and we almost killed the DPS there. Land another heavy. I try to go for a parry there, but we get stunned. Land the second parry again into both players. Finish off the secondary DPS. Jump onto the tank, and we get a beautiful, beautiful finish there for a 3v1. And yeah, I'm really, really, really excited about this build. And then lastly here, we have a little 2v1 against some hatchet players, again in the open world. I'm going to see if I can get them to bite here, because a lot of the times players don't usually want to fight, but we get the first player to bite. He jumps onto us with the sword and shield, put a ton of damage into him immediately, and the secondary player shows up, and we almost get taken out there, but we create some distance, get a flame dash on both, and I'm trying to see if I can finish off the first player there while creating some distance from the second. We go ahead and proc his hatchet ultimate, parry him, create some more distance from the secondary player that was chasing us. I try to get the finish off with the fire staff, but he gets a potion off, and I'm just gonna go ahead and see if I can catch them both at the same time here. So we again almost finish him off, roll into the heavy, cancel into the parry. We don't land the parry, but we again proc the hatchet ultimate on the secondary player there, and get a little clean finish with the fire staff. But yeah, it's the build is feeling really, really, really good right now, and I'm really happy about it. But let's jump into that build update. Alrighty, so taking a look at the build, as I mentioned, we have been trying to really catch up on our crafting and refining because I've been quite behind. I've managed to almost get everything to 200. We've got almost all the important ones to 200, so we're making quite a bit of money now. But I still got to work on woodworking and stone cutting. But the important thing was getting to 200 armoring so that we can make ourselves some gear. But we still need to buy a couple of houses and get the armoring trophies to push that gear score up. And the reason why I'm pushing for that so hard right now is because it's where the end state of this build is going to end up. Previously, if you guys remember, I had been running 100 dex, 200 intelligence, and 150 con for that critical damage reduction. One because we're in light armor, one because we're fighting outnumbered, but it's because we didn't really have a lot of room on our gear to fit those resilient perks, because I wanted to try and fit as many of like PvP build perks on my gear as I could and make up for that with the constitution. But the last couple of days I have been testing out what 150 dex does feel like. All of those fights in the video that I just went over were running this stat setup, and it's honestly getting me really excited because, as you can see, the damage is insane with our weapons and our gear not being 600, but with us getting to that 150 dex value. The dodges are obviously really nice because it helps you maneuver a lot better. But the main thing is we didn't have the minus 10% critical hit reduction. And I only have one piece of my gear right now. So we are literally running 5% critical hit reduction. And as you saw in those clips, we're still able to maneuver in fights as if we're running 150 con. But we have even more damage now. And as I was kind of just mentioning, the reason why I'm pushing for that 200 armoring is because once you get all of your pieces as close to 600 as possible with single stat values, you can inch out your stats on the build to be 150 dex, 200 intelligence, and 150 con if you're using the 40 attribute food. So it's going to be insanely powerful once I get to that point, and I feel that's when I'll make the final build video for this, because that's when I'll feel the build is kind of peaked in terms of how strong it can get, because we'll have the damage or the damage reduction to sustain us in outnumbered fights, and then enough damage to finish out kills quickly enough. So that's what the push is going towards right now. I am very excited. Honestly, you can run either or. A lot of you are probably at that point already where you have 600 gear score and you have a lot of best in slot gear. So if you can get to that stat value that I mentioned, that is going to be where the build is at its strongest. But if you're like me and you're still trying to catch up, I would recommend sitting at 150 constitution until you can get your dex up, because I feel the damage reduction is more important. Taking a look at the weapon trees, I think I might have made very slight adjustments. I think I dropped light edge to get perfectionist and refreshing strikes, but pretty much everything else is the same on rapier. Fire staff as well is pretty much the same as what we were running. The gear as well, there isn't any new perks or anything that has been added. We're still running omnidirectional evade, resilient on the chest piece right now, sundering riposte, empowering fireball, and then I just have on thaw because I switched between gauntlet and fire staff. And then in terms of our jewelry, we have health on the amulet. We're running keen on the ring. Still trying to upgrade my jewelry pieces, and we're still running ill-gotten gains. Before you guys say it, I'll just show you guys my market right now. I do know, yes, Keen and Hardy is going to be the best in slot setup for a build like this, or honestly most builds. I already have it. I was already checking earlier, but currently there's no rings on my server that are on the trading post, at least, that have Keen and Hardy. It's only a 500 gear score ring that doesn't have the stats that I want. And anybody that's selling one is selling it for like upwards of 80 to 100k. So even if I had the money, I'm not spending that much on a single gear piece. I'm either gonna wait for the prices to get lower, honestly, or just I can honestly get by with just Keen. But if you can get that, that'll probably be the best in slot for the ring. But I think Keen is a little bit more important. But if you feel like Hardy is something that you need, then you can definitely go for Hardy over Keen if you're trying to get both of those perks. But health, like I mentioned, is going to be what you want on the amulet. Keen or Hardy or both if you can get it. And then I plan on upgrading this once we're trying to get that min max stat value. So we're going to probably try to get refreshing toast and whatever else I can get on the jewelry. In terms of the weapons, recently I actually scored some really insane weapons. Currently I am running this bad boy for my Ice Gauntlet build. Rogue and keenly empowered, which is insane. So we're doing a lot of damage on this. Rogue I feel is going to be a good perk to go for the Ice Gauntlet, because you can, there's a lot more opportunities for you to be backstabbing opponents versus on the Fire Staff. When it comes to the Fire Staff, I'd rather go for Vicious because it's a little bit more consistent. But again, I scored this crazy Rapier on the market for like 200 gold or something insane. So these are the Rapiers that I'm running right now. And these are the perk setups that I would kind of try to aim for. Enchanted is also good. Keen Enchanted is a good setup if you can't get either of these two. The Fire Staff, I'm currently running Keen and Keenly Jagged, and then Keen on the Ice Gauntlet as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the build updates. I'm trying to remember if I forgot anything, but I'm going to be making a push towards getting that gear to best in slot and min-maxing this build. And once I do, I will put out a final build video for both of these builds. But please, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.